Here we go.
Divine God, Master Jesus, all the mentor and guiding spirits, all the supporting spirits, and all the other spirits that are here in attendance, we welcome you to this night's study. And we thank you for this opportunity to learn more, to learn how to apply more, and to be better in understanding of the world in which we exist. Guide us during today's session to communicate effectively, to receive all that is meant to be received. And so be it. Okay, Spirit's Book, The Separation of the Soul and Body. Question number 154. Is the separation of the soul from the body painful? No. The body often suffers more during life than at death because the soul is usually unaware of what is occurring to the body at the time of death. And at the time of death, the spirit often enjoys what it is feeling because it recognizes that it is at the end of its exile. In natural death, which is the after effect of exhaustion of the body due to age, human beings depart this life without even realizing that they are doing so. Like the flame of a lamp that dwindles and eventually goes out when it lacks a source of power.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? So when you're thinking about suffering, I mean, most of us at least, we are afraid to die. But we just realized when the spirit comes and say, no, actually, it's something so good for the spirit because the feeling is the same when you open a cage from a bird for the bird, then you can fly. And I think furthermore, you're going to learn about how the spirit feels at the time of death and and at the time that they have to come to reincarnate, which one is more painful. And the spirits, they say they are more afraid to come than depart, because when you have to come, you have to face all the challenges, right? And when we depart, you just like, we done. No, well, I mean, of course, I mean, in general, I'm saying depends
Yes,
how we did.
it is, I believe that the human fear of dying is tied to not wanting to die a difficult process. For example, it's one thing to die suddenly in a automobile accident or a plane crash. It's something else to be injured severely in a fall, and a week or 2 weeks later is when you pass. It is, I don't know that the brain and the body are conscious enough to feel the pain. But as humans, that's not the kind of death we want. We want a quick, painless death.
Yeah, and well, they're gonna say about accidents here, like brutal accident, but let's say we are sick for years, like having a cancer or something like this, and our body, it's suffering, it's heavy to our body for long. When the time of death comes and we disincarnate for the spirit, it is such a relief because the pain and everything else, it's gone, they're not going to feel anymore. Of course, depends like the moral, the knowledge of so many things and how they did in life. But in general, it's like that because, which feels the pains is the body, the spirit doesn't. Even sometimes we see spirits saying that they still feeling pain. because they were so attached to the body.
Right.
You know, it's more like on the consciousness than anything else. But it's interesting, like to see, like from this perspective, when the spirits come and say no, they don't. They don't sometimes like natural that they don't feel anything. It's just like I'm free. I sometimes I imagine myself like in those people that they got an accident, they couldn't like walk anymore through life, and when they disincarnate they just see themselves like I can move, I can do everything. I think it's like I don't know.
That's the freedom of the bird you were speaking of.
Right. Yep.
Yes. Yes. Okay, 155. How does the separation of the soul from the body take place? As the bonds restraining the soul are broken, it separates from the body. Is this separation sudden? Is there a distinct line between life and death? No, it is not like a bird whose cage is suddenly opened, allowing it to escape at once. The soul gradually separates from the body. The two states are blurred together, and the spirit extracts itself little by little from its bonds, which are loosened but not broken.
Yeah, Deck's going to explain more here.
Yeah, and I want to interject something. I tried to find a video. There is a video in Portuguese with American subtitles, English subtitles, that clearly shows the transition. I'm trying to remember the name.
It's like from a book from André Luiz.
It's yes. Yes.
I know this video.
Yeah, most people do. Most people, spiritists from Portugal, from Brazil. No.
I didn't know they have like subtitles in English. That's nice.
Well, I'll tell you what's really interesting. Just a quick sideline story. The director of the movie No Solar and the movie Kardec, and this movie we are talking about, I was on a call with him last year.
Really?
Yeah, he has 3 more movies in plan. Yeah, including including The Life of Chico.
Wow, yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, so
I'm excited.
This is I naturally I said to him, if there's anything I can do to help, I would love to help.
Wow, that's amazing.
To be on the call was an honor. To have discussion with this man was an honor.
That's so nice. And
does
he speak English?
Very good. Very
that's
good.
So nice. Good to know.
I mean, it's not his native language, but he speaks very well. And he speaks enough to let me know that he has worked the business movie climate in Hollywood.
Wow. Oh, that's why he speaks English.
In New York, in Hollywood. He has had discussions with Sony and Disney and others like that.
That's so, hopefully you get a chance to help him out.
Well, the interesting story, Swellen, is this. It takes money to do a film.
Oh, yeah.
He had a number of things lined up, and then the pandemic hit.
Oh, yeah.
And so everything's on hold.
Yeah.
And in his latest, we had a discussion in December, and I've since found out from the man who put it all together. Everything is still on hold. Most of the investors have said, we'll be glad to invest if you get a big name. So when he says he's been speaking to Disney, he's been speaking to Sony and Paramount and a number of others. It takes one.
Yeah, it takes one.
Sure. Because he's pitched them all, the whole series of movies. He wants to do this entire series of 4 more movies.
That's so good.
It's fascinating.
Cross fingers.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that movie that's in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
It's It's the best movie. You want to understand what happens? You don't have to understand or read. You just watch. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like very self-explanatory, like the
Yeah,
process.
when they pull the webbing off,
Uh-huh.
the webbing of attachments, and it's I forgot the name of the movie. That's the problem. Anyway, more of Kardec's explanation.
More explanation. Yeah, well, let's put over here.
During life, a spirit is connected to the body by its semi-material envelope, or its perispirit. Death is the destruction of the body, but not of the perispirit, which separates from the body when organic life ends. Observation has shown us that the separation of the perispirit from the body at death is gradual rather than abrupt. And this speed may vary depending on different individuals. In some cases, it is so quick that the perispirit completely separates from the body within a few hours after passing, while in others, particularly for those whose life has been exceedingly material and sensual, this release is much slower and can take days, weeks, and even months. This does not imply the persistence of vitality in the body or any possibility of restoring life, but it is simply the result of a hold between the body and the spirit proportionate to how consumed the spirit was with materiality during its human life. It is only rational to assume that if a spirit has closely identified with matter, it will be more difficult for it to separate from its material body. In contrast, intellectual and moral elevation of thought initiates this division even during the life of the body. Consequently, when death ultimately arrives, the separation is almost immediate. Studies of individuals after their death have shown that sometimes the connection that remains between the soul and the body is extremely painful, as the spirit is fully cognizant of all the horrors of decomposition. This is an exceptional case and unique to certain kinds of life and certain kinds of death. It can happen in the event of suicide.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the difficult part. Here, um, basically, it really depends because some people has so much knowledge, but their moral it's so low that when they disincarnated, they have the consciousness of what's happening, but they're gonna face the consequences of their life. And there are some people that have no idea what you're talking about it right now, but their life is just charity, love, and care for others, that it's so simple for them to face the new reality. Um, but well, as we know in the mediumship sessions, we just see so many spirits come and you know talking about their life or what they're doing or happened to them, or some spirits that has no idea what's going on after 1,000 years, and they still attach to the this planet, the earth, the material things, not because those things exist, but because they imagining in their heads those situations. But the thing is, they are disattached for the body. There is no body anymore. But they still thinking that they are living their life. And some, suddenly they just like find out what happened. Some have no idea. But the spirit one when the spirit is attached from the body, it really depends. That's why I like the example of suicide.
Yep.
Those are the worst.
Yep.
um Probably you already read something about spirits just after they are rescued, of course, they are like in condition to talk. They give details of what happened to them after death because of the suicide. It's painful.
It is also it is also individual. And as individual as humans are created with fingerprints and eye definition that makes us all unique, the cases of the life led and the cases of how the life ended are going to contribute to the circumstances for the separation of the spirit from the body. So there's no way to predict, but there are some general concepts of things to do, things not to do in advance. And I would just say also that uh, for me to have been educated before I hit the time of death is amazing. Whether I can truly accomplish what is supposed to happen remains to be seen. You know, I am divesting myself of materialism as fast as I can. The difficulty is, you know, a long life led of relationships. And so I can get rid of material significance of, you know, mementos and awards and my instruments and my computers and so on and so on. I can get rid of all that. That's easy.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, my sister, my sons, you know, that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, that's a whole
Husbands, wives, children, you know, that's all.
yeah, that's a whole other story.
But I would also say that in an education sense, to have read and continue to read about elevated spirits and the challenges they have had in their various incarnations, you know, then I don't necessarily beat myself up for not being an elevated spirit. On the other hand, I fully recognize I'm coming back.
Oh yeah.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last thing I would say, in fact, I'll save it for after 157. 156. Oh, did you have anything more, Sue-Ellen?
No, no. So I think like what Kardec explained here is,
Yes.
self-explanatory.
Yes.
You understand that, our body, the destruction is just the body, the spirit is still, and it depends the situation of our death and how you die. It can take, as he said here, days, months. Yeah. It depends to disconnect to the body. But like the good example, and of course there's so many more explanations and books and so many things about suicide. It's like really interesting and how open our eyes about to understand about it like this.
Yeah, and not only intentional suicide, but
unconscious suicide. Yep.
Yes.
So many spirits.
Yeah, the people, people who smoke cigarettes and get lung cancer.
Exactly. Drink, drugs, or all the excess, like, they just, but I didn't commit suicide. Yeah. Not the way that you think, but you did.
Yes.
All right, 156.
156. Can the definitive separation of the soul and the body take place before the complete termination of organic life? When experiencing extreme agony, the soul sometimes leaves the body so that all that remains is purely organic life. The person is no longer conscious of him or herself, despite the faint flicker of vitality remaining. The body is a machine that is regulated by the heart. As long as the heart pumps blood through its veins, it continues to live. The soul is not needed for this. So life support is a very good example. It's the machines of life support.
Right. It's interesting to understand about this, because when the soul leaves the body and you just realize that the body still have those remaining vitality, the energy that goes through the veins and the organs, there is no more life there, just organic life, but there's no more spiritual life there.
Right.
And furthermore, I believe in this chapter a little bit more when we just realize about euthanasia and how bad is this for the body when it applies to the body, because we don't know the exactly time of the death. It needs to be natural. Otherwise, I mean, it has a book of André Luiz that explain this scenario. André Luiz had the chance to watch a specific person that was sick in the hospital, and the family just decided to do the euthanasia, and how hard it was to disconnect it, the spirit to the body. It's very interesting to learn about that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. 157. At the moment of death, does the soul sometimes experience a kind of bliss that gives it a glimpse of the world to which it is about to return to? The soul often feels the slackening of the restraints holding it to the body and struggles to fully break them. Partially freed from matter, it views the future laid out before it and enjoys the anticipation of the spirit state.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I like.
So I wanted to contribute that I was blessed to be present for both of my parents' transitions. With my father, it was before I knew about Spiritism. But it was a very spiritual experience. One of the final conversations I had with him, he said to me as I was feeding him, "Please let me die." And I said immediately, without even thinking, "That's not up to me. You need to have a conversation with God." And he did. And he died very quickly thereafter.
Well, probably he was feeling already, the end is coming, because normally it's like that, or
He had been in a decline for about 4 months.
mm-hmm.
So he definitely knew it was coming.
Yeah. And there is like so many feelings involved in this moment, because it depends the stage you were, in your life. I mean, I think any stage is complicated, but suddenly you just pass away from an accident, and you have like little kids, wife, so many things that comes to your mind, and then you to understand that now you're not a part of this planet anymore, the earth anymore, or in the example that you gave, from your father, the feeling like, and now, or I'm suffering, I can't take this anymore, as probably he said, like, let me die, like I don't want this anymore, because it's too heavy to the body.
Yeah.
It's painful, you get tired, and sometimes it's just like you just want to go. And I don't judge, even like maybe that's the best thought, but I don't judge, because it's hard. We see so many spirits saying, even like when they are evolve enough to understand things that we don't, they know the price that we pay to be here.
Sure.
It's hard. So yeah, and that's why I it makes so sense when the spirit says, for the spirit, when times to go is just like a pain relief,
Mhm.
you know, freedom.
And the other thing I would share is then Spiritism found me, and I was a little bit more educated, and my mother passed. And before she passed, a friend from the center said to me, talk to her higher spirit. And I did not know what that meant. And so she came with me. And she and my mother, eye contact, no words, just eye contact, and the energy of thought. There's no mistaking this woman was talking to my mother's higher spirit. There is no mistaking. Because afterwards, she said, she's ready, you know,
Let it
she's
go.
she's ready. And so, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks later, whatever, I stopped in to see her, and I knew the minute I walked into the dining room where she's eating dinner, the minute I walked in, I said, it's time. I could just tell by her body posture and the fact that she wasn't eating. She was 96.
Oh,
She lived a fantastic life. And so she was ready. And when she went calmly. Now it's interesting afterwards that I have the belief that my father's dementia was so significant that he was already unattached to the material world. So I believe that he may have gone quickly. My
right.
mother, the loving mother that she was, I don't know. But I will say, as she transitioned, I had a sense that her family was there receiving her and helping her.
Yeah, I think like it's gonna be like not the next, another
Yeah.
question.
Yes,
Explain
because
that.
my mother was the last of 7 brothers and sisters.
Oh
And,
wow. So
she was the longest living, and
oh,
so there's no question.
there's no question. Everybody's just waiting for her, like, now it's your time.
There's no
Let's go.
question.
Time to go.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And to, for me, I was so at peace, so at peace.
Well, well, my father, passed away, let's say, young. As a younger like guy, is at 67 to 68.
That's young.
Was very quickly. It was a kind of like a sickness that, was very quickly. Well, like the matter of 3 months, no more than that. We didn't like suffer a lot, but it is interesting because he had the knowledge. With spirit, our family. I'm raised from a guy that like goes to the spirit center since I was like 90 years old, something like this, and he had the knowledge, but I could feel that he was afraid. Not afraid, let's rephrase that. Concern. Has some
Uh,
concernings about so many things in life. And
because he
he
had the knowledge. Because
yeah,
he
and I
had the
mean,
knowledge.
yes, and he knew it. He knew it that it's coming because I mean, my brother lives there in Brazil. He told my brother, he told like, don't you see that I'm dying? And like, no, you're not dying, daddy. And like, he could feel that it was like the time was coming, but it was like, was quickly. And then after 2 months, I think it was after 2 months, he gave a communication because, the spirit said that he used to go and participate of the mediumship sessions. He went there and he said, "Is everything's fine? I didn't feel any pain." And he asked like to stop crying, like for my mom. Like, let's stop crying, let's cut this because that's not good for you and not for me and not for anybody. when he said crying, is crying in the matter of, I'm not crying because I miss you, but I'm crying because I'm suffering a lot and I can't let you go, you know, those kind of crying, the sadness. And he just like was straight, like, I don't have time. You have to be quick and like, that's it, I'm fine, and let's continue. I'm gonna work from this side and you guys work to this side, and let's do together at somehow, you know. And that's why, like, when you have the knowledge, of course you suffer, you miss, but when you have the knowledge, you feel like it's okay, you know. uh,
And the other thing is, the movie also shows clearly the impact of the other family members can
uh-huh.
make it very difficult at the time of transition. And so for the other family members to allow an easy transition, very important, very
Oh
important.
yeah, yeah. And interesting, like that movie shows like the feeling, the thoughts of like, I don't want you go.
Right.
I want you, you know, just be fine, be here. It's tells more about us than another person.
Yes.
You know, it's, I know we say this because we love. When I say love, because we don't really know what love is, but we have no idea that if we love, you know, time is time, you let it go, because
It's
you
a
have,
it's a selfish love.
it's a selfish love. You, I want you by my side, I want you with me, and that's not the way it works. Everybody dies, of course. I'm saying natural death, or when somebody's very sick. I'm not like talking about it when a mother, you know, loses a
Right.
child. It's
Right.
something else.
Right.
But you know, after, as your mother, 96 years
Yes.
living,
You
you
know,
know, and get sick, and at some point, you know, right? You know that you're gonna like feel, you're gonna be sad for the moment, but you know what is the best.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
Oh, good.
158.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. You know why? Because I just realized you finished this part in 162. You're almost there.
A caterpillar begins its existence by crawling on the ground and then spins itself into a cocoon into an apparent death, only to be reborn as a brilliant butterfly. Can we correlate our human life, death, and life after death to this transformation? Yes, but on a very small scale. The image may be good, but it should not be accepted literally, which human beings are prone to do.
I like this explanation. Like everything's perfect.
Yeah,
It's like a
so
caterpillar, and
yeah.
then you transform, and then you fly. No, it is a transformation, but not always beautiful.
159. How does the soul feel when it realizes that it is in the spirit world? That depends. People who have done wrong for the sake of doing wrong feel overwhelmed by shame for their behavior. The soul of a righteous individual is at ease, as if a heavy weight has been lifted and does not dread even the most penetrating evaluation. Yeah, this is your father.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
this
say.
is this is also me.
Well, as I said, knowledge doesn't mean that you're ready,
Yes, exactly.
because so many people has knowledge and time. The times come and like has come, and now what I'm gonna do.
So I am paying attention to retribution as the step, as one of the most important steps. That when you've done something wrong, there's a number of things, if you have the opportunity, to do before your lifetime is over. And I'm paying attention, trying to figure out.
Well, if you think like in the matter of, we are here already paying debts that we don't remember, and the ones that we do remember is the ones that we did here, and you're trying to figure out like how to pay those that we remember, And when you just realize that the ones that we're still doing, plus the ones that we have done, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
let's be careful. Let's
Yeah,
be
this is
careful
why
with this.
I'm glad I don't know about my prior life.
Oh yeah, I'm glad. There's the thing that I say thank you to God every day, like thank you.
Yeah.
Because if I go by like the mistakes that I do, the things that I think, I was like, yeah, better do not know what I have done.
Yeah, exactly. 160. Are spirits immediately surrounded by people who knew on earth and died, who they knew on earth and died before them?
There we go.
Yes, according to the degree of affection they had for them and vice versa. They often come to them upon their return to the spirit world and help them shed material ties. Others, whom they formerly knew but may have lost contact with on earth, come to meet them as well. They see all who are wandering and visit those who are still incarnated. This is my mother, and it's not because she was a social butterfly, you know. You know, her relationships were very important to her. She had very large quantities of friends through 96 years, you know, and so those are the people that are were there to greet her. There's no question. Those are the people that were there to greet her.
Definitely. And the interesting thing about this, it's, of course, we're seeing a side that a person was good, was a kind of good, and then they're ready to see their family, friends, related. But even the ones that were not that good, they still having those people around them, because the more we talk to the spirits, the more we understand that everybody at some point in life had somebody to love
Yes,
or was loved by somebody.
yes.
And then that's the tiny, tiny point of light that they need to recovering or recovered or just wake up from the things that they have been doing for a long time, like bad things. That's like a murder or somebody like very bad, just disincarnated. They're gonna have somebody there caring for them, even then they can see if they're not ready to see them, but they're gonna be there waiting the time to stand the hand, like that's time to go and wake up.
Yep.
That's the beauty, like, and how God loves and give the opportunity even when you were like immersed in mud and in the darkness place.
161. In the event of violent or accidental death, when the organs have not been deteriorated by age or disease, does the separation of the soul and the end of organic life occur at the same time? Usually, and at any rate, the interval between them in such cases is very brief.
Yep. It's suddenly it happened, but it's kind of painful too when they gets time to realize what happened.
Well, that's it. You know, it stands to reason. A sudden death
Mm-hmm.
is a shock. It takes a while to understand the magnitude of the shock. You know.
Uh-huh. And sometimes they just gotta sleep, or those spirits come to help them to sleep and like calm down. At some point it's gonna be the time to understand everything. Yeah.
162. After decapitation, does a person retain any form of consciousness? They frequently do for a few minutes until the organic life of the body is completely dead. The fear of death often causes people to lose consciousness before their demise. Isn't it interesting? I'd forgotten this question was here, and I just read about the history of the guillotine.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This question simply refers to the awareness that victims may have of themselves as a person and not as a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If they have not lost this awareness before death, they may retain it for a few moments afterwards, but only for a very short period of time, which must cease with the end of the brain's organic life. The termination of human consciousness by no means implies the clean separation of the perispirit from the body. On the contrary, when death has resulted from violence and not the gradual extinction of life, the bonds tying the body to the perispirit are tighter and the release is completed more slowly.
Yep,
Makes sense.
it makes sense. Because even in a natural cause, depends of the moral, it could take months. Imagine one's like comes through a violent situation, you know, or when it's not that, because it could happen um through a suicide, let's say. That is not the day to die. That's not the time to die. You just like opt to die that day. And then the whole natural process is not ready and takes, it has a book. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a very famous book, by the way, and I'm pretty sure it has in English. Um, Memories of a Suicide.
Yeah.
Have you read this?
It's one of the 7 I'm still on the queue to read.
Do it.
I have 7 books right now. I'm finishing 4. I have 7 books to read, and that's one of them.
This one so far is one of the best book that I have read in my life. The best book. Why? It's deep. It's powerful book. It's a real story, and you have to be ready to read. Because it's heavy. It's really heavy, but it's the truth. It's the way it is when we have poor decisions as suicide. And to understand the whole process, how things happen related to natural things, the opportunity that we have, and so many other things, is just like, yes, suicide is not an option.
It is a personal challenge for me to face the truth in that book. My cousin committed suicide last year. And this is a cousin 1 year younger than me that we were raised together. So he's almost like a brother. And
Have you put his name on the book?
I'm sorry?
Have you put his name on the?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay. It's important.
Quite frequently.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's not something that happens quickly.
No. Well, it really depends, but in most of the cases, no. But yeah. So hold on to read this book.
Yeah, not to be judgmental, but my cousin Mike led a life of excess.
As so many people.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's, I don't know about like what happened to your cousin in his life, but sometimes I know people, I'm not that very close, but close to some friends, that it looks like everything's good, everything's fine, they're happy, but they're not. And like suddenly in a couple hours you just hear that, oh, they just committed suicide. They're like, why? What happened?
Most of the friends and family will say they're surprised he lasted 4 months. The pandemic hit, and 4 months later he committed suicide.
Oh, he couldn't like.
He was so social, and interaction was everything in his life. Human to human contact was everything. Traveling was everything. He led a life of excess.
Yeah, but
isolation was very difficult
for so many people. Actually, how many people committed suicide in the last 12 months?
No.
Of course, there is something wrong before the pandemic with those people. Definitely, why they couldn't hold that. but so many, and others as well. Let's say those doctors, those nurses that were like facing this dramatic moment, how many of them? And that's why the spirits come all the time, say 5 minutes of pray every day in your day, it's enough to help us, because we are carrying a lot. You guys are carrying a lot, but we as well, because the problem doesn't end in there. It just transports to the other side. And those are the knowledge that I'm glad that I have, but it's not the knowledge that is going to help us. You need to act in order to face things like that. Yeah, I mean, suicide is a kind of like the thing it's hard.
Oh,
It's it's really hard. Yeah,
good.
it's really hard. Harder
Very,
than anything I can tell. Like, yeah, it's really hard. But at least we can just warm your hearts, know that God's at some point they're gonna be ready to be helped
yeah,
when the time comes, and they're gonna have other opportunities too.
yeah,
That's the beauty, to understand that the death is not the end.
yeah. Okay,
And that's it. So we next week, something else that I don't remember right now, but you finish this part. But it's still something on this chapter. Still, I think this is a long chapter. And that's it. Let's stop share over here. All right. So you do the final prayer, Mark?
okay. Mother, Father, God, Master Jesus, and all the spirits, thank you for your involvement, guidance, support, contributions to tonight's study. Thank you for this time together, put to use as best as we could. Continue to guide us on our journeys to live the life we are intended to live. And so be it.
So be it. All right.
Okay, Sue Ellen, I see you tomorrow night.
We see you tomorrow night.